Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Magnolia Clubhouse Sports Report. He's Scott Trella, and he's Dexter Lowe. Welcome back, Dexter. We missed you. I'm Keith in Lakewood. We'll first start out with the Cavs, which in their last game, which recently occurred, that the Cavs took a really bad shellacking as they lost to the world champion Milwaukee Bucks, 113-96 in Milwaukee. Scott, it was just too much Milwaukee Bucks. There was actually too much of one player for the Milwaukee Bucks last night.
Yeah.
Well, who was that? Brook Lopez last night.
Yes, too much of him. He just really had the Cavs' number. The Cavs had the early lead in the first, but then they just fell apart after that, and they really, and being down by 20 in the third, that did not help at all. And they just could not. Were not able to really get it back in the fourth, but they need to find a way to snap this losing skid and really get themselves back on the winning track. But they are in fourth place in the Eastern Conference. But they need to really keep a team on their toes. They need to score well. They scored well in the paint, but they were not getting the 3-point shots like they usually do, and they got good points off the bench. But I think they'll be all right, though, just despite this losing skid. But they need to really just get themselves back in the winning track and just not get themselves down by so much, especially in the third quarter.
Dexter,
That's what really was
Dexter,
really the problem last
Dexter,
night.
The Cavaliers were trailing by one at halftime, 61-60.
Yes.
Since from that point on, the Cavs only scored 36 points for the entire second
39.
half.
It was 113-99 was the final score.
Okay, 113-99. Okay, I stand corrected. So despite that, 39 points in the entire second half. And it's just lack of offense. Now, we know Jared Allen didn't play last night. However, it was just, lack of offense, in which Coach J.B. Bickerstaff said in the locker room as post-game comments last night that they were playing like, quote-unquote, fat cats. How do you respond to that, Dex?
I agree with that. But I also agree that the missing element of yesterday's game was they also out-rebounded tremendously. I mean, they out-rebounded almost 2-1. And that was a lot to do because Jared Allen was not there. And then let Brook Lopez do what he do best, knock down threes.
Yeah, he was right. 7 3-pointers last night by Brook.
And the Cavaliers missed a lot of open shots yesterday.
Yeah,
and they did. I agree.
Yeah. So after this, the Cavs' next encounter, they will return home for the next 4 games. Mm-hmm. So we will keep you up on the Cavs' progress, as hopefully they will be able to get back on the right track. I believe in J.B. Bickerstaff, and I think he will.
I do as well.
I do too.
Okay. All right. So moving on to college, where the Ohio State Buckeyes, the men's basketball team was impressive as they had their 3rd win in a row. Dexter, did you catch the Ohio State game last night?
I catch some of the game. So, I'm very impressed by it. But I forget the one freshman guard that he is tremendous. He really is. He played a great game.
Scott, what are your impressions on Ohio State in this?
They've been looking very well, both offensively and defensively, and they have really looked good on the early season, and they are tied with several other teams for first place in the Big Ten Conference, and they do sometimes have a close start, but they do manage to finish strong in both halves, and they've been shooting well from field goal range.
Yes, they have.
And really in the paint as well, and I think they really need to and they're making open shots too. And
we'll keep up. The season is still young as the NCAA basketball season. Right. It's just in the very, very early stages of the season. Right. So we're going to have lots more to talk about as far as the basketball team. And we're going to move over to the football side of things, where the Ohio State where they're coming to their next encounter. Actually, we're coming closer and closer to our encounter, as we only have 1 game left before the showdown with number 3 Michigan. And that one game is is the next game is as they travel to Maryland to face the Terrapins. So, Dexter, how do you see this encounter with the Terrapins before they face Michigan?
I think it's gonna be another blowout. I truly believe they peaking at the right time, and especially defensively for that team up north. And that's the team we're gonna be facing. For 2, gonna play 3. That should be a tremendous game. And Ohio State, I hope, will blow him out the water.
And I do as well. And they really looked good against Indiana last week. And if they can blow out Maryland, I think Michigan will win when we do play Michigan. And if this very well could be a battle of the unbeaten teams. And Ohio State is really looking to close out this season unbeaten and really make a playoff run and get back to the national championship.
And not only, we got some payback coming from Michigan from last year.
Absolutely. Dexter, there is one, in your absence, Scott and I went over this question, and the two of us think it's very well feasible. And I will pose this question to you.
Yes, sir.
Can the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game get into the Final Four? Some experts are saying that it's very possible that the loser of that game may very well get into the Final Four. What is your take on this?
It depends on the final score. If the game is close, they probably can get in. You got to understand, TCU is also undefeated also.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and Tennessee only lost to Georgia.
Yeah. So
That's correct.
Yeah.
So it's obviously that the proponents want to at least include Tennessee into the mix, which is a understatement of why I think they should expand the playoff format to at least 6 teams. But we'll touch on that at another time. So moving on, we're still sticking with football. Moving on to the pros, to the Browns, where after their recent encounter with Miami Dolphins, since they got absolutely shellacked 39-13.
Boy, did they ever.
Yeah. A certain familiar figure returns to Browns training camp as suspended player Deshaun Watson returns to camp. Dexter, what do you think of of Watson returning to camp?
I predict this year that the Cleveland Browns finally will have a quarterback. They never had a quarterback with the skills of Deshaun Watson, who can both throw it and run it. I say Deshaun Watson might be the second best runner of the Cleveland Browns over Kareem Hunt. And I think with those skills, we're going to be all right. But I think it might be a little bit too late when he comes back. I think we're going to be too far out the way, too many losses, in particular inside the division, for us to win, to do anything. But next year, oh my God, next year, we finally going to be able to see a great quarterback finally in the city of Cleveland.
Scott, I'll ask you this question. Do you think in these last 6 games, which Watson is going to play, it's an audition for Stefanski to keep his job?
That very well could be, because he has not played for a good portion of the season, and his job could very well be on the line. He's going to need to play well, and I feel that before he returns, that these next 2 games with Buffalo and Tampa Bay are must wins, because this will get the Browns in really good shape, and I think they could very well make a late season run, even though it may be a little too late. They could still make a late season run to get in the playoffs, but we'll have to wait on that, to wait and see on that.
Do you think, okay, Dexter, do you think if Watson is 4-2 in the 6 games that he played, do you think that's enough to keep Stefanski's job?
I believe Sebastian Scott's job going to be safe no matter what. The guy, in my opinion, they should get rid of is Woods, the defensive coordinator.
Yes, we all agree with that. We all agree with that with Joe Woods.
And because the Browns, if you look at the average points they scored, they've scored over 20 points a game. So offensively, it might be some shady stuff. But with Washington, the playbook is unlimited.
The Browns defense is giving up 26 points per game, which is ranked 30th in the NFL.
That's the problem.
Yes, that's the problem.
If the Browns were to score 6 less points on defense, if they were to average 20 points a game, we would have at least 3 more wins.
I agree.
Yes.
Agreed.
Those are some telling stats about the Browns defense and the direction that Joe Woods is going. 26 points a game, which is basically 30th in the NFL. So stay tuned for this. We will have more updates. And last but not least, Dexter just jumped ahead of us. We move on to Major League Baseball, where Tito Francona was named the American League Manager of the Year, and well deserved too. Tito Francona took a team which basically was rookies and first-year players and took them to the precipice of the ALCS. It took 5 games for them to bow out before losing to the Yankees in 5 games. But what an accomplishment for Tito Francona, guys.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, I mean,
and Keith, I'm going to say this here. Of all my teams, and I love them all, the one that with the brightest star, in my opinion, is the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes.
Because they're gonna they got better pitching than coming up next year. Our starters on next year might be minus 2 of those guys, but we got 3 of them down in Akron and Columbus that's ready to come and take their place.
Oh yes,
I agree.
The minor league, the AAA Columbus minor league system is absolutely loaded. Yes. The problem is it's not enough room with the talent, but we will stay tuned for off-season moves as the Guardians do need a power stick in the DH and probably a first baseman and maybe a catcher. So we'll stay tuned and we'll keep up with the Guardians in the offseason.
I think that catcher is going to be Josh Naylor's brother.
The catcher from Oakland?
The catcher is going to come out from Columbus.
Oh, Columbus? Okay.
And I think the outfielder going to be more power going to be Gonzalez. Now, we're going to need a DH first base because the other net only can play one of those 2 positions.
Well, that's what we were referring to of what the Guardians probably basic needs for a power stick DH, a first baseman, and probably a catcher.
Yeah.
So those are basically what the Guardians are going to be in search of in the off season. So congratulations to Tito. It's well deserved, and I'm going to end it with this. Tito broke the curse with Boston. It would be great if Tito would end his legacy here in Cleveland if he would win a World Series.
Amen.
And break the
yes,
baseball,
indeed it would.
Break the baseball curse that's been plaguing the Indians/Guardians since 1948.
Yeah. And next year will be the 75th anniversary of that World Series victory in 48.
All right, one footnote, guys. I will ask you this. Cavs or Guardians? Current makeup of the Cavs, current makeup of the Guardians. Who will win a championship first, Cavs or Guardians?
You might not believe this, but I believe it's going to be the Cleveland Guardians.
Okay. I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to go with the Guardians, too.
Okay, you're going to go with the Guardians. Okay, well, the Cavs and Guardians are up there neck and neck. Okay, because the Cavs, if they have a really good season, despite the recent losing streak, their ceiling the Cavs' ceiling is very, very high with the talent that they have, because they're going to get players throughout the mid-season. Rubio is going to be back, so that's going to be like a mid-season trade if you really think about it. Yes. So
could be.
So the
Cavs. Don't get me wrong. The Cavaliers. Yeah. The Cavaliers peak. But see, the Guardians are already meant to the playoffs. The Cavaliers meant to going to the playoffs. Yeah. I think the next step for the Cavaliers is 2 years from now, and the next step for the Guardians might be next year.
It could be a repeat of 2016, whereas both teams were vying for championships in the same year. LeBron and the Cavs won, and the Indians at that time were one rain delay short of winning the World Series.
And you're right.
One rain delay short of winning the World Series.
Yes, they were.
And we will leave it. And that is the final buzzer for this week's edition of Magnolia Clubhouse Sport Report. Thanks, guys. This has been grand. I'm KIL, and Scott Dexter. We'll end it as we always do. Go ahead, Scott.
And as I always say, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. Have a great Thanksgiving with family and friends, everybody. So long, everybody.
3, 2, 1. We're done.